blue-collar working man.
All right, let's go.
What up? It's your boy T-Burn Reaction. Today is Films Friday. We'll record it. Pre-recorded first Friday, and you're watching on Friday. Now, because I'm doing it as a pre-recorded, I didn't give myself a chance to do another poll for the upcoming What's Your Favorite Scary Movie. So with that, I will go to the second highest one, and that was Otis from WWE, best known as currently, but mainly known for his days as Heavy Machinery and his little romance with Mandy, now part of the Awful Academy with Chad Gable, boo. But around the time he was the fun-loving, big lovable big man Otis, and he did what his favorite movie was, to get the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I've done reaction to the kill counts and all that too, as well as some kind of watch this way too. So I will definitely, this will be one I will be very intrigued on this one though. So without further ado, this is Otis on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. So you know, next time I do the poll, we'll have 2 new entries. If it's not a wrestler, I will add if it's not a wrestler anymore, I will I will just add up to 4, because I'm going to do the wrestling series for now, and unless y'all want me to keep it going. But other than that, let's check out Otis on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Let's get it.
What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find little bastards in business, they're dead meat.
Hey everybody, welcome back to What's Your Favorite Scary Movie?
Jason,
the show where I talk to people about their favorite scary movies. I have Chelsea joining me today.
Nice.
Hi.
For this first episode of Season 2, I'm calling it, because her favorite horror movie is also the favorite horror movie of our guest today, Otis from the WWE. Hey, Otis.
Oh yeah, it's going on, guys.
Oh my god. Give me a minute. I miss this Otis. I miss this Otis right here. This fun-loving, lovable, huggable Otis. Not this Awful Academy Otis. I miss this Otis. This Otis right here. I miss this Otis. I don't care what anybody say. I miss this Otis. But anyway,
You're talking about all sorts of gore and goos and all that crazy stuff.
I've been told by many people on the internet that you are in fact a big horror movie fan, and I see that puzzle you mentioned of Maniac over your shoulder, and that's a deep cut. That's not necessarily a wider known horror movie, so I know you're legit if you have that on your wall.
Definitely a big fan guy when it comes to horror movies, because I believe it's the only genre to make you really feel besides a thriller movie. And with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you feel like you're watching a real film. You're watching it just like, good God.
So yeah, your favorite horror movie is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, absolutely. I remember my mom, she was talking about this movie. Now, my mind is, I'm maybe 6 or 7 years old. I haven't seen a film quite like this. But when she was building this to me, remember she ran to the movie and she goes, son, let me tell you about this movie. It's some crazy son of a bitch who wears skin on his face. He has 2 brothers. Yep. These kids have no idea what they're driving into. It becomes a disaster for them, but I won't ruin it for you because there's only one survivor. I'm like, you just ruined it for me, but hey, it's American cult classic movie. Honestly,
it is,
you watch it again and again and never gets
always said, like I said, I think I said it on my reaction. The fact they had a movie like this back in the day, wow. That's all I gotta say is like, how they able to do it though. I didn't even get a chance to watch I didn't watch the Netflix remake they did, their reboot or whatever you call that. Dare. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that yet. I will possibly watch it though. But I heard a lot of people talk trash about it. But that's one reason I was hesitant on watching it. But I might still watch it unless he does a kill count for it. I won't mind just bypassing the kill count for that.
For me personally, because you get involved and you get invested in the emotion.
Yeah, and you were saying that, oh, Mom, you spoiled the end, but it's weird how now, especially, we're all pretty aware of how a horror movie's gonna go. There's always gonna be a girl left. Like Halloween, Laurie's gonna live, and Texas Chainsaw Sally's gonna live, but that doesn't ruin it. And like you said, you've watched it over and over and over again. There's something more to it than just, oh, that the plot happened, and I guess, okay, I'm done thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think especially with Texas Texas Chainsaw Massacre because, I mean, I also watched it pretty young, as you did. I was probably around 10 or so. And when you're watching movies at a younger age, you don't necessarily recognize when they're weird and different.
Yes.
So I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre and I was like, okay, it's scary and, you know, it was effective, but I didn't realize just how different of a movie it was until I was older. When you watch it after having seen a lot of normal movies, yeah, like you said, it seems like it's real. Like it's a voyeuristic look at these people's real lives. And you have all these things that don't really go anywhere. The weird people that they run into in the beginning, that drunk guy just like leaning back and talking.
The other thing is about that movie, I will say that the fact that it was based on a true story, I was like, how the fuck something as bad as this was based on a true event. I'm like, whoa. But then I kind of heard about this, not as crazy, not as bad as the Chainsaw Massacre, the real event that it was based off of. Like the dude was like he was like on some stuff like wearing folks outfits and stuff like that. I'm not sure he wore their faces though, but he definitely wore the outfits and all. No, if I could, because I actually looked the story up when I heard about this. I'm like, I was curious to look the story up, and it was like kind of light compared to how the movie portrayed it. It was very light. Thank God.
Just an old man talking.
It couldn't be any more real because of the budget. I forgot the budget. I think Joe Bob knows that off the top of his head.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, it's just the budget was just as real as it gets. They had one trailer for the girls. They had a van, which you saw in there. I guess I don't know where the men would dress, but you can just tell they were in the heat. They were in the shit. And like you got Gunner, he's got to wear that material, and he's I know big guys sweating Texas. I know about Texas, so yeah, it's hot up there, man. And like being a big guy myself, being 360 pounds of pure love machine, it's kind of tough to really keep that.
I miss this
Otis. Your hair dry, all that, and him being in that rubber mask. It had been brutal for him, but I think it only helped those guys to get in the shit of the character.
It's great how, you know, because the beginning they pick up the hitchhiker and he's talking about, oh yeah, you know, we worked in the slaughterhouses and that's the good way of killing, right? Then you just immediately feel disgusting. And yeah, like you mentioned, everyone running around looking sweaty and miserable, and they must have been just so hot, but it works. It makes you feel that kind of slaughterhouse gross.
Yeah, like the heat and grime come through the screen and you feel dirty watching it. Like we had a recent screening with some of our friends who had never seen it before, and it was just silence the whole way. And then at the end, people were just like, what did you make us watch, man?
Yeah, it's not a movie where people come over. I got a great movie for you guys to watch. Yeah. Because as big horror fans, we find comedy in a lot of these things because it's so entertaining. Like him doing the tongue through the window while Franklin's selling the big arm cut, and them fighting before they get in the house. Oh my God, it was like, that's something you don't appreciate until you're older and you realize, because you could tell like these remake of Texas Chainsaw, I will put over that it's very nicely done. I have nothing bad to say against it, but you could tell that they're not really into the shit because, you know, they now times have changed. There's more of a budget, but you could tell these girls, they just got a little bit of, what do you call it, grit, a little bit dirty. You know, they could tell their hair hasn't been combed, and there's nothing pretty about it. When you see Jessica in the remake, you're like, well, baby, I know you're sweaty and you're sexy and you're running through the woods and all that, but your hair is perfect. They say it was the most brutal movie ever, but you don't see too much brutalness. I mean, the hook, you imagine it in your head, but you don't see that scene where when she has the girl, I'm just like, this girl can't get away from him. Oh no.
Yeah, when she wakes up at the dinner table and just screams and they're all laughing at her. It's so visceral, man. And yeah, the fact that you don't see very much is part of why I think this movie works so well, and I think is so much more intelligent than people maybe just mainstream. Like, if you're just familiar with the title, you know, this isn't high art or anything.
Right. Yeah, you might think it's like a Hostel or a Saw sequel where it's just nonstop gore, but I think that both speaks to the intelligence of the filmmaking and the effectiveness, is that even some people who have seen the movie will say, oh, it's really graphic and gory, just because they were so affected by what they were watching that they started to imagine things that they didn't even see. And there are some really nice shots in it. I think my favorite is Drayton comes across the hitchhiker and he's mad at him and he starts hitting him in front of the car and they're like backlit by the headlights. And I just think that's a really weirdly beautiful shot.
I told you to stay away from that graveyard.
when you first see him on the movie, you're like, okay, it's probably some weird old man who lives in Texas and has a gas station with one Coke machine. But like when you see him get solely in the character, and then he's like, you can see he's enjoying what he's doing to her, adds to the entertainment. But also, there are some sick bastards out there, which why these movies work so well, is that he's just poking her with the stick while she's helplessly tied up in a sack.
I hope you're not too uncomfortable down there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes too, because the way he gets mad while he drives up, he goes, "Oh, you little shit!" He's banging on his truck doors, and like the favorite line: "Look what your brother did to the door."
Dude, that's my favorite line too.
We always yell that at each other. It's like, I don't know why it's so funny, but it's my favorite line. The delivery's just so good.
Look what your brother did to that door.
Some ravenous, savages, killers who are just eating people. But then you're like, oh, they're a family. So they talk just like we would talk to a sibling, and like him just like yelling at Leatherface, and he's backing away. I didn't understand at first the slowness of Leatherface as a kid. When you learn back into it, like, he probably has no idea besides getting told what to do. It's kind of like Halloween, like that mystique of you don't know why he's doing it. And I always thought this is very sick humor, but not Kirk, but the other guy was looking for Kirk. He was like by the door, and he goes, "Anybody in there?" And then Leatherface just had the guy's head and goes, "You haven't seen him." Turns him around, but hey, that's just sick humor for me.
Yeah, that wouldn't be out of place in that second movie, because that's so much more of a comedy. And I mean, I love the second movie.
I do too.
I love Chop Top. He's one of my favorite characters. But that first movie still is really funny, like you were saying, with Drayton and just the sibling rivalry back and forth. It's such dark humor, and I think that's something that maybe people who don't watch horror movies at all, when you tell them, "Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre,"
hilarious.
it's so funny.
Yeah.
They're like,
facts.
what's the matter with you?"
Oh, Lord.
And people always say this is always ahead of its time, but that was truly ahead of its time, because the whole movie made again. I forgot what year it was made.
74.
Yeah, exactly. It was like early 70. And I don't think horror was like that crazy at the time. Yeah, it was still like, crazy slasher, fake blood, and all that. This was like the head of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
74. I mean, I can't imagine a lot of movies. When was Halloween made?
That was 78. So yeah, that was 4 years later.
So, I mean, dude, these slashers, this is probably one of the major kind of birth of the slashers. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I'm not
No, that's dead on.
Yeah, because the only other one that was that early was Black Christmas that came out later that year.
Oh, Black Christmas.
Yeah, I love Black Christmas.
So good. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw is really the first in a number of ways.
Like kind of slasher, like formula slasher. And it's crazy to talk about Ed Gein, and just like that case changed not only like American culture, but like horror too. It's nuts how that was such a watermark. Like there's before and after the Ed Gein case. I think it was kind of like people associate danger with maybe the cities. The country is very wholesome and rural, and nothing bad happens there. But then you get Ed Gein, and all of a sudden the country's a scary place to be. Like rural America's scary all of a sudden.
And I think that out of character-wise, Leatherface became bigger than life, because if you just had an old man in that movie, which they have a couple Ed Gein movies, I think Kane Hodder, you see some weird piece of skin on someone's face that they redid in Devil's Rejects, House Thousand Corpses, basically made all Robbins movies, but other movies that have a skin on them, you're thinking Leatherface.
Oh, look at me, I'm Leatherface.
Yep.
And that's just, like I said, it's just something before its time, man. And like, I think Leatherface, he's carrying his load, man. He's the man. He just sawed his leg, and he still kept coming after him. I mean, the guy's a tough son of a bitch. He's crazy. Like that's something where you can appreciate. Is like, all right, like even though he's evil, even though everyone still roots for Leatherface every time.
You still feel bad for him a little bit too. He's getting pushed around by his family, and he's everyone's yelling at him and calling him stupid.
He just seems stressed out by all these kids coming into his house.
He's sweet. I love him.
What's your guys' favorite part of the movie besides what you guarded the door?
That door sliding open gives me chills every time. The framing is perfect. There's not really any music or sound. It's just the sound of that door clanging open, and it's so stark and so fucking scary.
That gong noise.
Yup. And then, the whole ending sequence is just beautiful. The way it's shot, where he's swinging the chainsaw around, and the colors are gorgeous. It's like just sunrise. It's all orange and pink, and it's just like, it's so cool.
You think she made it? Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, her laughing like
just
that.
Psychotic.
I don't know how much of that's even acting.
I think that was one of the last things they shot, and so she is laughing. I think they actually had to go back and reshoot that final shot, and so I think her laughing is legit excitement of having finally being done with this experience of shooting that, because shooting that dinner scene, which is my favorite scene, which you think lasts longer than it does. I think it's only about 10 minutes or even less from when she wakes up, but just all the super close-ups on her eyes, like that's crazy to me, and just her pleading and offering anything to get out of there and them just laughing at her.
I'll do anything you want.
We've talked a lot about the humor in the movie. I think some of my favorite humor involves Grandpa and how he's the best at killing, but he can't even hold a hammer up. And they're just like, they keep trying to put it in his hand so that he can do it, but he keeps dropping it. That's so dark, but it's so funny to me.
I love that it was a young guy in old makeup, John Dugan, who we met at, what was it, Midsummer Scream?
Yeah.
And James took a picture of him pretending to hit me over the head with a hammer, and he was so sweet. He was like, "Are you sure you want to take this picture of me just bashing your girlfriend over the head with," like, "Yes, please."
Add Drayton even in the background and go, "Yeah, Grandpa, yeah, get her, Grandpa."
Get her, Grandpa.
Yep.
Yeah, get that bitch.
Get that bitch, Leatherface. Get that bitch.
Yeah.
You gotta have Grandpa in there.
He's sucking on her fingers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the way he's just kind of moving his hands to the page. One that I feel personally, and the one that I think would be the scariest. I've pushed my mom in a wheelchair in the woods. I mean, it's been like, I know how hard that is. So you're walking. Obviously, they could use Franco as an overweight guy. She's trying to push him. He just, "Come on, Sally, push."
Well, come on, push. Push down.
Just again reminds you of my mother, because she'd just be like, "Come on, Nico, yeah, get on there, yeah, watch out for those rocks." Then all of a sudden, here's Leatherface. The lights on him, the chainsaw is up.
Every time.
Yep.
He's going right through the torso, baby. And that's just legit terrifying if you saw that in real life. A guy with a chainsaw, not a familiar face, just sawing the hell out of your brother. Like, she would stand there and have her arms up like this and freaking the hell out, which is great because she's doing that. And finally, when Leatherface turns and looks at her, then that whole chase scene, and it just seems like the movie picks up so loud in that damn part. It's just like they're screaming, there's music, there's a chainsaw. He's going around crazy. And then it gets quiet when she gets through the gas station and barbecue. It's like, wait, that's it? Just quiet now? There's a country song playing in the background. There's barbecue and a rotisserie. We can breathe now, thank goodness, because good Lord, I don't want to take her running and screaming that much longer. There's always like when you watch a horror movie, you're like, all right, who do you want to die first?
Right.
It's very bad to say.
Right.
But I think Kirk had it coming. I think Kirk was like, he was giving his buddy some shit for not stopping away for gas, not doing this. I'm like, brother, you're just sitting there complaining. You're not doing anything to help us. I think he just had it coming.
Yeah.
And it sucks that the pretty lady had to had to go after him. She just goes, "Let me see what's going on in this random house and check it out." And she's gonna see all the crazy stuff there.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Stump James. Here we go. Let's see how Otis get him on this one.
How many deaths were there in Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Not including the already dead. Actual kills.
Well, brother, that's my job, is counting kills in horror movies. So, I mean, let me do a quick recap.
5 people died in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which might be lower than you expected, but I tried to warn you about that up top.
Kirk, Pam, Jerry, Franklin. I think it's and Hitchhiker, so 5. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Hitchhiker dies.
Oh, he gets run the hell over.
He's in part 2, or his body's in part 2, right?
Yeah, that's his body that they're dancing with in the beginning of part 2.
What the hell is that?
And by the way, with the door,
that was his
the chainsaw in the truck. He's just scraping like I would piss me up. I was at that truck. Like, get your job, bro. He's just sitting there making circles, not even trying to get in the door. But it makes the movie get that much magical.
What color is Leatherface's chainsaw?
Is it yellow?
It's yellow. Yeah.
Yes.
You got it.
What is the name of the first mask you see on Leatherface?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't realize it had a name.
The one you first see is the house slipper.
Is the what?
They call it the house slipper. It's his
house
first
slipper.
mask. The one
Wow.
he always wears.
Oh, like his comfortable thing to just put on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's name for different faces. That one's house slippers is the one
Oh,
where
that's
Oh,
great.
slippers.
He wears.
Oh, he's so cute. It's his house that he wears while he looks out the window and just licks those pointy, gross teeth.
This continues my tradition of not getting a perfect score with trivia questions. I always get at least one wrong, and this time it was the damn House Slippers mask name that stumped me. So good work, Otis.
Good job, Otis.
He's got his slippers on.
Well, Otis, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
This is a fun way to, be able to talk to people and make content with other horror fans, even though, we've been kind of stuck in this apartment for however long now.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it must be. This is around the time during the pandemic.
See, anytime you want me on the show, man, just let me know, man. We'll talk about any other movies or certain subjects of slashers or something like that.
We should have you on the podcast or something for
Yes,
sure.
Anytime, guys. Like you said, I'm an honor to be on the show. Just keep on watching those movies and always have extra butter on your freaking popcorn.
Yeah.
And salt.
All right, cool. Again, I miss this Otis. I'm not a fan of the Alpha Academy because I miss this Otis, man, for real. I miss it. But no, there's folks who love Hills or love Badass. They wanted a monster, a badass monster. Well, he's not badass, but like a monster, kind of like a Monster Hill in a way, have him be all muscular and all that. But I miss this Otis for real. But other than that, this was another good episode of What's Your Favorite Scary Movie and all that with Otis as well too. I was gonna go along with this because I did indulge in the Jessica Change via kill counts, and I think I actually watched one of the movies as well too. But other than that, this was good. So next week I'll add 2 more. If there's not a wrestler left, there's only one wrestler left, I'll make it 4 because I'm just gonna end up with the wrestlers for now until further notice. Other than that, if you like my reaction, it's a couple. There's 2 more because I think it's Kalisto and Paige is left. I think, if I can remember. I think Kalisto and Paige left. Might be one more. Who knows? But other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.